Hello, welcome back to Scattered Salt. If you're new here, my name is Julie. I share testimonies and ministries of Christians all across the world. Today, I am super excited to have my friend Addie Borden on to share her ministry with Grieve, losing her mom and how we can better support other people that are going through the loss of a loved one or loss of a friend. So I'm super excited, so let's get into it.
Welcome to Scattered Soul, Addie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. Well, so your ministry is Good Grief. Do you want to kind of explain to everybody what that is?
Yeah, for sure. So I started a podcast slash Instagram page last year called Good Grief. And it kind of stemmed from I lost my mom when I was 15 years old. And so through all of that, that was 4.5 years ago now. I'm 19 now. Kind of one of the things that helped me feel fulfilled during that time of just going through all the grief things was talking to other people who were going through similar things. I remember one of the first times I ever got to talk to someone whose mom was dying, currently at that time. It was about 10 months after my mom died. And I remember we were texting back and forth that whole time, and we knew each other, but we really became close during that time. And I just talked to her, and we related on so much. And I remember looking at my dad that night her mom had died, and I was like, I feel like I finally have stepped in to what my purpose is through this. Because everybody says, God has a purpose for everything, everything happens for a reason, all of those things. And I remember being like, I don't know. I don't believe y'all, And so, me, my dad, and my sister, we all have different purposes through this. But I think for me, it is helping other people because me and my sister really didn't have anyone that we knew that had gone through that. And so we had to navigate it very alone, in that sense. And so I just felt so fulfilled and was like, I want to do this if I can. And I since then have talked to multiple other girls who were going through similar situations. And so last year I was just talking about it, and I'm a yapper. I love to talk. I'm a verbal processor. So I was just talking about it with my dad. I'm like, what if I started a podcast? And he's like, why not? And so that's kind of where it came from. Actually, I got the name from Chat GPT. That's a little
Me
unknown
too.
fact. Did you really?
Yes.
That is so funny. No, me and Abby sat
That's
down,
great.
and Abby's Chat GPT, and she's saying what I'm gonna talk about, whatever, and good names for it or whatever. And she said good grief, and I was like, I love that.
Yes.
And I kind of brought it in with the double meaning of people say good grief all the time, but how grief itself isn't good, but you can find the good in grief.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where the name came from, and the thought process came from. I actually posted my first one on Mother's Day last year. And so it's been really cool to just see and people messaging me that they felt the same way of they didn't have anyone that had gone through the same thing, or it doesn't even have to be a mom, just grief in general, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's been really fun. It's very fulfilling. And yeah, I feel like it's definitely what God has me doing with that right now.
Right. And for those who may not know, would you care to share how your mom died? Was it
Yeah,
expected, not
for
expected?
sure. Yeah. So my mom dealt with a lot of health issues all my growing up life. She got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2013, I want to say. I think I was 7. And we were living in Florida at the time, and she went through that whole process: chemo, radiation, surgery, reconstruction surgery, hysterectomy, all of the things. And she was cancer free. And then she dealt with different things, different health issues. And then in 2021, she had a seizure, a grand mal seizure in July of 2021. And that led them to finding a golf ball sized tumor in her
Oh,
brain.
wow.
And about like a week later, I say a week, maybe a few days later, they went in to biopsy it and actually got the whole tumor out. And so that was in July of 2021. She went through radiation, a gamma knife radiation, which is very specific. And then probably in like November of 2021, it really started going downhill very quickly. To be honest with you, I talk about this all the time because I don't know if anybody else can relate to this now looking back in that journey. Like, I was 15 and like it did not compute to me that my mom was like gonna die. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah,
like I was so in it and I was so used to her having health issues that I was just like, oh, this is gonna be fine. Like
I'm
it's gonna be
sure.
good. You're gonna be fine, like all of those things. And so in November, she started having really bad pain and just was really going downhill. And then in January 2022, a few days, like 4 or 5 days before she died, she had I say a medical emergency. Honestly, it was like really close to mimicking a stroke. One night she had been like, um, practically unconscious all day. She slept all day. She didn't walk. She started losing ability to move her left side again. And then like had all of these things. She was talking out of her head. And my best friend was an ER nurse. And so my dad was on the phone with her being like, what do you think we should do? Because like the people at the ER were saying not to come. And we're like, that's kind of crazy. And so he ended up taking her to the hospital where she had her surgery the first time. And they basically found that her brain, the she had regrown tumors and had like several. And basically, there's like a middle section of your brain, like a little line, and the tumors were swollen so much on her right side that the line had moved like
Oh my
all the way. It was just
gosh.
like overtaking her. And they tried to do radiation one last time, but her brain was too swollen. And so she was put on the ventilator, and that happened during the night. And my dad, we were staying with my best friend, me and my sister, and my dad called me at like 5:30 in the morning one morning. And when I tell this story, I kind of say like when I woke up to that, seeing his name on my phone, that's the moment I knew it was over. Like for whatever reason, and up until this, I was like, she's gonna be fine. Like we're good. Like it's gonna be fine. And then that moment when I saw his name pop on my phone, it was like God just was like, okay, this is it. And so we drove to the hospital, and that was Friday. And they basically gave us, she could have weeks, she could have days, but like once you take her off the ventilator, she's not going to last that long. Um, and so us three decided that we were going to just do it as soon as possible because we didn't want it to like, we didn't want her to be in pain if she was going to be like that.
Right.
And so the next day we decided to take her off the ventilator, and I think she lasted about like 30 minutes. And that was January 22nd, 2022. So that's how she died. Um, but yeah.
So in that moment, like from the moment that you realized, oh man, this isn't good. Like
Hmm.
she may not make it out of this one.
Yeah.
Uh, what comforted you in that point?
Um, it's so funny because I say to people all the time, the most peace I've ever felt in my life was the day my mom died. Like unexplainable, just like calmness and peace and maybe a little bit of shock. Like I was just in such shock that I don't think I had much of like a breaking down of sorts. Just personally, that was my experience. But I remember we were driving home that night after everything had happened, and it was us three in the car. We were driving back to our house, and I was sitting there, and I had on Wednesday, like 3 days prior, we got the news that there was more tumors and I was spreading and all those things. I remember going into the room I was staying at, at my best friend's house and like getting on my face on the floor, and all I could pray was, whatever happens, I just need peace. I just need you to give me peace. I need you to calm me. I need you to like bring that. And I remember on the way home on that Saturday after she died, I was sitting there like very calm and very peaceful. And I was like praying, I'm like, God, is there something wrong with me? Like, why do I feel so like just such peace right now? And I remember it was like he was just like, hey, you asked for this. I'm giving it to you. Like,
Yeah.
you prayed for this, I gave you that. And it was just it's the unexplainable peace that only believers can experience. Um and so yeah, I think genuinely the only thing that can help when you go through that, and especially the day it happens, is the peace of God, the grace of God. That's it, you know? So I always keep that with me. It's like, okay, like God's peace is and grace are just out of my understanding, you know. But
Yeah. How do you feel like this whole venture has shaped your faith?
different ways, I think it's grown my faith in a lot of ways. I think it tested it in a lot of ways. I I've I've gone through ebbs and flows spiritually. Um, I I dealt with a lot of anger after mom died. And I remember like I didn't pray. I didn't read my Bible for like months. I was like, I am not talking to him. Like, no, I was so mad. Um, and when I finally got honest with God, with myself about like how I really felt about it, then he was able to kind of like comfort that. I think it's changed the way I view life. I think that I appreciate so much more. My priorities changed. I think my faith about just life has changed and about what really matters. Um, and God's taught me so much that I kind of sometimes I get overwhelmed. I'm like, gosh, I've gone through a lot, but I think that it it's made me stronger in my faith in certain areas. It's made me realize a lot of ways I need to work on my relationship with God in certain areas and trusting more than I maybe did at the beginning. Um, your faith changes when you are in the worst moments of your life and you can say God is still good. I think
Right.
that is when you can say those things, even if you don't believe them. I testified one time in church and I said something along the lines of, I don't know if I believe it right now, but God is still good. And he's still faithful and he still loves me and he does all those things. And in that moment, I don't know that I believed any of those things. But when you can say it and be in those darkest moments and just declare that, I think that's where your faith grows. And that's where God allows your faith to grow in those areas. So I think yeah, it's changed me a lot in my faith. It's changed so much about my relationship with God. Um certain areas, like I said, I still need to work on and grow on. Yeah, I think it just changes everything about you, including your
Yes.
faith, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that that is so true, even just in like the hard things,
Oh
not
yeah.
necessarily even just the grief and losing someone, but even
Right.
the hard things
Yes.
you go through in life. I know um,
Absolutely.
my family went through something within the last year that
Mhm.
hurt so bad, but when you get to the
Yeah.
point where you say, God, you're still good. I may not believe it right now, but you're still
Right,
good.
exactly.
Um,
Yes.
definitely changes
Yes.
perspective a lot and grows. I feel like definitely, at least for me, has grown my faith. I
Absolutely.
started saying that, God, you're good. I forgive the people that have hurt me.
Mhm.
And
That's a big
even if
one.
you, yes, even if you don't like fully believe it in your heart, you're like,
Right.
help me to forgive them.
Right.
uh,
Exactly.
yes.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I would definitely say that that definitely builds your faith, is when you're like, God, you're
Yeah.
so good, even in spite of what I'm going through.
Right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I feel like that kind of leads us into the next one. I'm going to reword this and say, what role does your time with God have in your healing process?
Yeah.
Like your
Yeah.
devotions or prayer, or how do you feel
Mhm.
like that has helped you heal?
Yeah. For sure. I think that the closest I ever have been in my life to God was when I was in like the deepest trenches of grief and just like emotions flying and all those things. That is like the lowest I ever got was the closest I've ever been to God in my life. And so I think that I say it now even, my dad calls me a very passionate person, which is a very nice way of saying that I'm emotional. And I was talking to him the other day and I just woke up in a bad mood. Like you ever had those days I'm just like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed for whatever reason. And I told him, I was on the phone with him and I was like, "Do you ever have those days where you're like you wake up and you're like, I cannot have any human like connection until I read my Bible and pray because I'm gonna be a terrible person if I don't get Jesus in me right now."
Yes.
Like I just have those times where I'm like, I would be a terrible friend, a terrible daughter, sister, friend, whatever, if I wasn't in my Bible and wasn't in communication with God. And so I think it played such a big role. I was once I got through that period of being angry and really got honest and got serious again with all of that, it played such a big role. I was in my Bible all the time. I was constantly praying. I needed him to sustain me for everything, for every minute, every day. And I think it plays such a huge role. I think it still plays such a huge role now that I've like even gone through things like you were saying that doesn't necessarily mean like grief, but just there's other hard things in life. Like
Right.
that is what you always come back to. It's always your foundation. Is like I did our church, my old church had like Awanas on Wednesday night. And I
Mm-hmm.
was in the teenage girls class for like 5 or 6 years. And every night, my teachers, they would always come back to the foundation of your Christian life is going to church, reading your Bible, praying. And that's what you always come back to, like when you mess up or when it gets hard or whatever. And I've taken that to heart and really been like, okay, anytime life is just crazy or I mess up or I don't do something I should or whatever, I always come back to those foundational things. So I think it's played a huge role. I was thinking about earlier when I was reading through these questions, something I would say that's maybe not like small and like small things, but like a big thing I would say to people who are like grieving. For me, I have a very hard time feeling out of control. And I'm a little bit of a
Yes.
control freak. And I remember we were still traveling full time with my dad. My dad's an evangelist. And so me and my sister were still traveling full time with him when mom died. And like, so everything was out of whack. Like my routine, I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I didn't know where I was going to be, all those things. And when we got home, I realized something that helped me kind of like ground myself and reset was like routine. I love a routine. I love knowing where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do that day. And so, something I would say to grievers who are maybe having a hard time feeling out of control is control the things you can control. And find whatever it is. It doesn't have to be routine, whatever. I love a morning routine. I love doing the same things every single morning. But just like find whatever grounds you and resets you and kind of brings back that sense of like, okay, not everything is crazy. Not everything is going wrong. Like, whatever that is.
How did you invite other people to walk alongside you?
Yeah. That's interesting because, and me and my sister have talked about this. We had a really hard time. I think grief grief really shows you like things you don't know about yourself. Okay.
True.
And we we had me and Abby specifically. We're okay, I'll say it like this. Me, my dad, and Abby are all three very different personalities. So we all dealt with it very differently. But something that me and Abby had in common was that we were very private grievers. Like, I didn't just go out and start talking about my feelings with everyone. Like, I didn't want to talk about it. I was trying to ignore it. Like, it never happened. My dad is a very public griever. He wants to talk about it. He wanted to, like, comfort us, and we weren't ready to, like, be comforted yet. And so what I always say on this question about like when people ask me like how am I supposed to help my friend that's grieving or like grievers being like how am I supposed to talk to people about this, like nobody understands it. I think I had two types of friends. I had the listener friend that literally I could call her up and be like, I'm about to go on a rant for 2 hours and you need to sit here and listen to me. And she wouldn't say a thing. Like, she wouldn't say a thing.
We love
She's like,
those.
yeah, okay, okay. Like, it's the only person I had in my life that wouldn't try to, like, combat what I was feeling. And then the second friend that I always, like, recommend somebody to have in their life when they're going through that is, in a nice way, the friend that's gonna, like, put you in your place a little bit.
Be
And I don't
brutally
mean
honest.
that right. I don't mean that as in like you don't need to feel this. You don't need to like not
Yeah.
like that. But I'll say it this way. My best friend, Brittany, she she was the friend who's like, okay, I'll let you cry for a little bit and then you need to get it together. Like in a sense of I went through a really hard like time dealing with like depression after my mom died and I just like one day I was like I'm not getting out of bed. I'm not going to do it. I'm not leaving. I don't want to leave my house. I'm not doing anything today. And she FaceTimed me that morning and she was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sad. I'm in my bed. Like, and I cried for a second, whatever. And she was like, yeah, okay. And she was like listening and trying to like understand. And then at the end of the phone call, she was like, so you're going to get up now, right? You're going to do your school? Okay, text me when you're done with it because I want to know you did it. Like she was that friend in my life of like I'm
Yeah.
gonna hold you through it. I'm gonna let you cry, but then life goes on. Like we gotta get
Right.
out. We gotta get out of it. We've gotta pull ourselves out of it when we get low for a really long time. So I think inviting that into your life when you're grieving is just knowing who plays those roles in your life. Um, and maybe even if you don't have a lot of friends, because I know it's hard for some people to just listen and not say anything, like preface that. Like when you want to talk to them, literally start the conversation out being like, I don't want you to say a single thing for the next hour. I
Yeah.
need you to literally just listen. I don't need you to tell me I'm fine, I'm good. I don't need you to tell me not to feel this way. I just need to get it out. Like, so I think finding that it really did numbers for me when like I said, like me, Abby, and Dad weren't really wanting to talk about it with each other for whatever reason. It was just too close emotionally for us to find comfort with each other at that time. I found it in those people. So
Right.
that's what I always recommend.
I can definitely say that I have those two friends for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you want the friend that will like speak up and tell you
Uh-huh.
to like do something and you're talking to the one
Uh-huh.
that like
Mhm.
just sits there and
Mhm.
listens,
Yep.
sometimes you're like,
Yep.
hello, will you
I need
actually
you to
tell me
say
what to
something
do in
now.
this
Like, yes,
situation?
yes.
And
Yes,
then it can be
I
the
had
totally opposite with the other one sometimes
yes.
too.
Absolutely. I know. I had to realize very quickly that when I didn't want to be told the truth, and not in a bad way, but when I didn't
Yes.
want the honesty, I was like, I'm gonna have to call my other friend because this ain't
Yeah,
working.
yes. I have not learned that yet, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that I will one of these
That's
days.
so funny. I love
What does hope look like in the midst of grief?
it's so funny because we have we have the hope as Christians of eternal life. If you have salvation and whoever you've lost was saved, um, you have that hope that really changes everything about the way you grieve because we don't grieve like unbelievers do because we have that hope of like, okay, this isn't all there is. Like we're gonna see them again. We have that hope. Um, but I've never had anyone ask me about specifically like hope and grief. Because I think that my when you go through something like that, I think almost your definition of hope kind of changes because and I'll explain that because I think very realistically now. And I don't have like the luxury of being naive. I'll give you an example specifically with like friends that are like one of their loved ones is in the hospital and their health is kind of declining and like they're praying for a miracle. And I'm the first person that will pray for your person like it's my person. Like I'm going to pray like God's going to do it. But then I also have in the back of my mind like I don't know. Like I know miracles happen, but I also have to think realistically because I can't like get my hopes up in a sense. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like it
Right. Yeah.
changed the way I view. And honestly, that's something I'm still kind of working through in a sense of like, okay, God still does miracles, and I will be the first person to cheer on your miracle. And if that happens for you, I'm going to be thrilled out of my mind that that happens. It's not in a way of like, oh, it didn't happen for me. It's not going to happen for them. Like, it's not like that. It's just in a sense of like, almost like this, like maybe to a fault realistic view. Like, I feel like hope just kind of changed because, a bad thing did happen. And so it just sets my mind up for like, oh, bad thing can happen again, like, that type of thing. But I think it all comes back to the eternal hope we have is the hope that does pull us through, even when we may like struggle with the doubt and hope in other areas. Um, that's what I had to say for that.
Right. So, what would you say to someone who is looking for hope? Which
I
you
think
may have said something about this. You were breaking up a little bit on that one. So you may have said
okay.
something about it and I just did not catch it.
No, yeah. I think genuinely I'll say two things. One of the only ways we can look for hope is through Jesus. It's through God, it's through salvation, it's all of the ways that God works in our lives. That is the hope we have. I would also say this, hoping when you're like in the trenches of grief, you kind of almost don't think you're ever gonna like be happy again or like feel normal again, and you lose that hope of like the joy in your life in a sense. Um, what I would say to that is you're not gonna believe me, but like life, life life's little joy moments happen again. Like you will wake up one day and not even realize it, but you're like, "Oh, getting out of bed isn't hard anymore." And going out with those friends, like I actually have a good time. Like the hope of that is something that I would stress for those people to hold on to. Of like it doesn't feel good right now. It's not fun. It's sad. It's anger. It's emotionalness, but that hope is something that kept pulling me through of like, okay, it's gonna be normal again one day. I'm gonna be happy. Like it's gonna, So I think that's also the other hope that grievers should carry in their life is like, okay, one day it's gonna be better.
Right. How can someone balance honoring their loss, like knowing it's okay to grieve, but also
Hmm.
still trusting God?
Yeah. Um, Gosh, such a complicated answer because I feel like it's something I'm still figuring out in a way. Um, I think sometimes Christians can get mixed up in this perspective of, oh, well, if I'm sad or if I'm grieving or if I'm literally just like sorrowful, it means I'm not trusting God. Or it means I'm not trusting that this is everything happens for a reason and this is his plan. And it's like, we know that. Like, we know that God is going to work everything together for good. And we know that his purpose is going to come through on this. But I'm still sad. Like, I still miss my mom. I still, So I think really understanding that Jesus himself, it says he was acquainted with grief in Isaiah. Like, he grieved. He was sad. He had moments of the human the human emotions and weakness and all of those things that Jesus himself was dealt with that, and that he's our example, right? And so I think that knowing that, telling yourself, I trust God. And even if you don't, saying, it's like we went back to the building our faith of like saying things and declaring things and hoping for things when we really don't feel like it and don't believe it. That's when you comes back to, you know, I'm grieving, I'm sad, I'm angry, but I know God's good and I trust that he has a plan and I don't know why and I don't like it. You don't have to like it, but you know that he has that plan and he's gonna bring you through. So yeah, just like shifting it from almost this guilt of grieving while you're a Christian, I think is a big thing of really understanding like Jesus himself had moments and lost people and lost friends, even if they didn't die, So I think that really helped me of like, okay, like I'm not a bad Christian if I'm sad.
Right.
Like this is human. This is our human nature of we're gonna mess up, we're gonna do all these things, but I'm not a bad Christian. I am still trusting God even if I want my mom here. So I think that, yeah, that has helped me a ton with that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really, really, really good. I feel like that is something probably a lot of people struggle with.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
because I could definitely see, like, I've never lost someone like super, super close to me.
Hmm.
I can imagine the pain of that, but I could see where that could be a really big
Right.
struggle is like, God, I want to trust you, but also,
Yeah.
like, is it wrong for me to be sad in this moment?
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
I'm sure that that perspective of saying that Jesus also grieved and was acquainted with
Yeah.
sorrow, that
Yeah.
that will help others a lot,
Yeah.
I am sure.
I literally just found that verse in Isaiah where it says he was acquainted with grief like literally 2 or 3 days ago, and I was like, I never like noticed that before. Like I'd read it, but I was like, oh my gosh, like it literally says he's acquainted with grief.
Right.
Like people don't like realize these things when they're having all that guilt and that shame for like not being, you know, happy or whatever all the time, like joy of the Lord, but it's like Jesus, like he's our example, I was like, I just found that like a few days ago. It blew my mind.
Yes.
It helped
Yeah.
me, you know.
I'm sure that honestly would help. I would say anyone going through
Yeah.
anything hard
Yeah.
right now to just know like God feels that emotion too. And it's not a wrong
Absolutely.
emotion to have. God
Absolutely. Yeah.
actually gives that emotion. So
Right.
I'm
Yes.
sure that that will help a lot. What would you say to those who feel lost or stuck in their own grief right now?
I think I would say to give yourself a lot of grace. Like don't I think I beat myself up so much about like when I was in really dark times or really hard times. I I've I had a really bad season with like anxiety and panic attacks and depression and all of those things after my mom died, and I still deal with some of those things, but it was just really bad at that point. And I think I just like beat myself up about it. Like I was so hard on myself, like you should be better than this, or you shouldn't let these things get to you. Like, you're not, like, it's that same thing of like, you're not the Christian you should be if you're,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
I just think you need to give yourself grace and a little bit of like, okay, I'm allowed to have really hard days. I'm allowed to maybe not respond the way you would respond if you were in a great mood, or, like, just for me, I'm a well, I say extroverted. I'm a very bubbly person. And I lost that after mom died for a while, and, like, that was, like, a complete identity shift for me. I'm like, "Why can't I be happy? Why am I not, like, in the mood to do this?" Like, and so giving myself the grace would have helped me a lot, honestly, of just,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to be happy. You're not here to make everyone else around you, like, comfortable right now. Like, you're allowed to feel sad, and if they sometimes people who don't get it, like, can't handle that in a way of, like, they just want you to be happy because they feel for you. It's like, no, just let yourself feel it all. Let yourself don't be the avoidant. Like, that's gonna prolong the whole healing situation. But yeah, just give yourself a lot of grace. Know that it's okay to feel this way. You're not on any timeline. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. Like, there's just not. Um, there's no, what is it, 5-step process. Like, that is not real. I don't know who came up with that, of like the 5-step process. This is what you're gonna feel, and in this order. Like, you're gonna feel them all at the same time, and then not in the right order, and all those things. And I actually I went to therapy after my mom died, and I swear by therapy. I love it. And I remember looking at her being like, I'm grieving wrong. I'm not doing this the right way. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And she's like,
That's great.
girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what in the world? And I'm like, no, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And she's like, there's nothing, like, there's no right or wrong way. It's messy. So I think just giving yourself grace, letting yourself feel everything, even if it's messy and hard. So,
Yeah, you did touch on going to therapy.
hmm
I know this is not in our notes at all, but would you
yeah.
like to just maybe do a shout out for someone
Oh, for
struggling
sure.
mentally with grief and just talking about how, it is okay
For sure.
to
Yes.
go?
Yes. I've talked a lot about this because I had some friends that weren't necessarily on board with me going to therapy. I'll say it that way. That's the nice way to say it.
Yeah, I get that.
I think it's a very big stigma in
Oh, yeah.
Christian culture. Um, and I know it's like it goes back to that thing of like, you're not trusting God, or you're not allowing God to help you. And it's like, okay, well, if you're having a heart attack, okay, you're not going to look at that person having a heart attack and be like, just pray, you'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. You'll make it. Like, it comes back to that thing. It's like, this is a mental game, and you need help. Sometimes you just need
Yeah.
it.
I
And
actually
so,
just wrote like a little thing because May is actually
yeah.
Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
wrote like a long paragraph on Instagram and Facebook and
Yeah.
posted it about like, yes, trusting God is okay and that's right. Like, we
Yes.
should be putting as much trust in God
Absolutely.
as we can, but there does come a line
Yeah.
where,
We're
you
human.
know, yeah,
Like,
we're human
we
and
like
it comes a point where our brains are sick.
yeah,
And
yes,
you should go get
absolutely.
help if you need it.
Yes, absolutely. I think therapy was the best thing I did.
Agreed.
And, like, you don't even have to go, like you're saying, like, we all deal with things in life.
Yeah.
Like, all of our things are different. It's great for all of it, and it's not for everyone. I'm not gonna, like, push it
Oh,
on
for
somebody, but
sure.
if
Yeah.
somebody's, like, curious in it, I'm like, "Guys, this is the best thing I could have ever done for myself," because it helped me understand so much more because, like, for me specifically, grief showed up in like my body physically too. And I was like,
Yeah.
something's wrong with me. I'm dying. Like, what's happening? And like, it just helped me understand so much more. And honestly, talking to someone that doesn't know you and
Mhm.
is not emotionally involved, like the no judgment zone of like I could tell you the craziest thought I had right now and like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I swear by it. Like it was the best thing. I went for to the same girl for like 2.5 years after mom died. And then I started going back last year to a different girl from some other things that happened. And I was like, I need someone to talk to. And then now of course I've just moved, and so I am planning to find someone here because it is mental health is a real thing, and it deserves to be given that opportunity just as much as, you know, other things do, other physical things do, you
For
know.
sure.
So it has been a very important part of my journey of healing and help for me.
For
I would
sure.
tell
And
anyone to
I
go.
do go to a Christian
Yeah,
therapist. And I
yeah.
will say, personally, for me, it has grown me spiritually. Like,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm.
if you go to just get help, like mentally, like that is
Right.
totally fine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
said, like you have to find whoever works best for you. But
Right.
like even just the spiritual side of it, like going to someone who
Yeah,
and she doesn't believe the same as me,
right.
but that is perfectly fine.
But
Like
just
it's
bringing the
okay.
spiritual side into it, just
Yeah.
in general, it definitely the girl I saw last year when I started going back was a Christian, like life coach, therapist, whatever you want to call it. And it definitely was different, and I enjoyed that. Maybe not like more or less than the other one, but I enjoyed that. It definitely does make a difference bringing the spiritual side into it of like, what does God say about this? Like, well,
Yeah.
because there's the Bible is our blueprint for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it like she brought it back to like, oh, God said this and about that. And so yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I
it's so
think it
important.
also it helps too to know like it is okay to feel those emotions, like to know
Right.
like biblically like it's okay to feel these emotions if they're in the right way.
Absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
kind of what has helped me the most with going to a Christian counselor is
Yeah.
saying, like it's okay if you're feeling these. You just
Right. Yeah.
have to be feeling them in the right way.
Yes.
So I love
Absolutely. I
that,
love
but
that.
we
Yes.
will wrap it up. Uh,
Okay.
our last question is how can we better support other people that are going through like the same things? Like as a friend, how can
Mm-hmm.
we better support our friends going through grief?
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things, if you really, really want to help someone, I think letting them know that they don't have to be okay with you. Like, they don't have to have that, "I'm fine. I'm good." Like, they don't have to have it all together with you. Like, if they wanna fall apart, there's gonna be no judgment, no uncomfortableness, like, I'll cry with you. Like, come on, like, get it one of the a quote I heard recently was, "When someone we know is drowning, it's not the time to try to pull them out of the pool, it's time to get in it and help them swim." So maybe not
That's
so
really
much
good.
being like sometimes it is like, "Let's distract you, let's get it off your mind, let's go out and do something fun," but then other times it's, "Do you wanna cry? Like, do you wanna talk about it?" And just like, "I'll cry with you, and I'll sit there, and I'll be in it with you." I think that would be a game changer for friends of the grievers of, like, actually helping them and supporting them. I think that is those were the friends that I always went to. The ones that I was like, "I can just fall apart with you, and it's fine." Like, it's not gonna make it uncomfortable or awkward or whatever. Like it's not like that. The people that I knew it would make them uncomfortable, I wasn't so prone to go to. And so like I think that is one way. The "Are you okay?" question should probably just be thrown out. Like, no, we're not
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Like just don't even ask that. It may be more of like, how are we feeling today? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, where are we? Like I saw a girl I follow on TikTok, she's going through this infertility journey, and she was saying like how her friends have helped her through it. And one of her friends sent her this text message being like, I picked out this emoji, and if you send me this emoji, that means that I need to stop whatever I'm doing and pray for you. No questions asked. You don't have to tell me what it's about. I'm not going to ask anything, but I just know I need to pray for you. I think something like that is super cool, of just like, I'm supporting you, but I'm not pushing you to where, you talk about things you don't want to talk about or
For
whatever it
sure.
is. So I just think things like that, just being in it with them, letting them know that it's okay to fall apart with you. Um, all of those things helped me the most when I was going through it.
That is awesome. Well, Addie, thank you so much for doing this
This
video
has
with
been so
me.
fun.
Would you like to share where people can follow you and follow your Good
Yes,
Grief stuff before we hop off?
absolutely. Absolutely. Let me find I want to get the handle right because it's different on
Yeah.
Instagram
Well,
than it actually is.
I can also link it too.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will
Um,
let you share as well.
yeah. On YouTube, it's Good Grief with Addie, and those are where my like full length podcast episodes are from last year. And then on Instagram, it's good.grief guide. And I post videos over there. I post like little snippets of like things that have helped me or things I'm learning or whatever it is. I'm definitely more active on the Instagram than I am anything else. I don't have a Facebook for it. But I do post some on my personal page, Addie Borden on Facebook, about the good grief stuff. So that's where you can
Well,
find
thank
me
you
right now.
so much for being here.
Yes. Thank
And
you for having me.